All right, let's get right into it. You know those people who just seem to have this magnetic quality? They walk into a room and people are just drawn to them. But what if I told you that likability isn't some kind of magic? What if it's actually a science with a blueprint we can all understand? Well, today we're going to decode the psychology behind what makes someone genuinely likable.
So, what is it really? We tend to think it's all about being good looking or having this big, outgoing personality. But the research tells a much, much more interesting story. And honestly, a more hopeful one. It goes way deeper than just the surface. You see, the scientific term for this whole thing is interpersonal attraction. And it's not just one simple thing. Think of it like a recipe with a few key ingredients. Sure, there's physical attraction, but there's also social attraction, like are you fun to hang out with? And then there's task attraction. Are you someone people can count on? Real likability is a mix of all three. And that's exactly why we're calling this the architecture of likability. We're going to break down these psychological pillars that hold up a real, genuine human connection. We're moving past just gut feelings and into a clear, science-backed framework. So here's our game plan. We're going to dig into 4 foundational pillars. First, the familiarity principle. Then the super counterintuitive Benjamin Franklin effect. After that, we'll look at the subtle world of human connection effects. And we'll wrap up with the simple but incredibly powerful use of a person's name. Let's start with our first pillar. And honestly, it might be the most powerful one of all, the familiarity principle. This is one of those ideas that is so incredibly simple, it's really easy to underestimate just how much it shapes our social world. The core idea here is called the mere exposure effect. Basically, we grow to like things just because we see them over and over again. Our brains are wired for survival, right? So we see something familiar and our brain goes, hey, I've seen that before. It didn't kill me, it must be safe. And what feels safe feels good. It's a preference that happens automatically. To see just how far this can go, check out this wild experiment from back in the day. A student went to class every single day, completely hidden inside a giant black bag. No, I'm not kidding. At first, the other students were totally weirded out, even hostile. But as the weeks went by and the black bag just kept showing up, that hostility softened into curiosity. And eventually, they actually became friends with the bag. All of that without a single word being exchanged. That's the power of just being there. But here's the catch. There's a sweet spot. You can't just hang around forever. Think of it like your favorite song. The first few times you hear it, you'll love it. But after the 1,000th time, not so much. Research shows that liking tends to peak somewhere between 10 and 20 exposures. After that, you run the risk of boredom or worse, annoyance. So presence is key, but so is knowing when to back off. And it gets even more interesting. The effect is often stronger if there's a bit of a delay between each time someone sees you. It even works subliminally, with images flash so quickly you don't even know you saw them. But here's the most critical part. If someone already has a negative opinion of you, seeing you more is probably just going to make them dislike you even more. So this isn't a silver bullet for changing minds. Okay, let's move on to our second pillar. Now, this one is going to flip a really common idea right on its head. We all think that we do favors for people we like. But what if doing a favor for someone is actually what makes us like them? Yep, this one is named after Benjamin Franklin himself, who apparently used this trick to win over a political rival. He didn't try to win him over with gifts or favors. Instead, he did the opposite. He asked the guy if he could borrow a rare book from his personal library. The man said yes. When Franklin returned it a week later with a thank you note, he found he'd made a friend for life. So what in the world is going on here? Well, it's a powerful psychological principle called cognitive dissonance. Our brains absolutely hate it when our actions and our beliefs don't line up. It creates this uncomfortable mental tension. So if you're feeling neutral or even negative towards someone, but you do them a favor, your brain has to resolve that conflict. And it's a lot easier to change your feeling than it is to undo the action. So your brain just concludes, well, I must have helped them because I actually like them. Problem solved. It's really a cocktail of a few different things happening at once. Besides that cognitive dissonance, there's also something called self-perception. We figure out how we feel by looking at our own behavior. And, let's be honest, asking for help is a form of flattery, isn't it? It's a subtle way of saying, hey, I respect your expertise. And that's just a fantastic way to start building a connection. For our third pillar, we're diving into the subtle, almost invisible ways we connect with each other. This is all about the little social dance that's happening just beneath the surface of our conversations. First up is something called the pratfall effect. Here's the deal. Being perfect can actually push people away. It's intimidating. But when someone who is clearly very competent makes a small human mistake, like spilling coffee all over themselves, it makes them seem more approachable, more relatable, and believe it or not, more likable. Now, here is the crucial, all-important detail. This effect only works if you're already seen as competent. If a brilliant professor spills coffee, it's endearing. If an average student does it, it might just confirm that they're a bit clumsy. Their likability actually goes down. So the takeaway is clear. Earn your stripes first, then don't be afraid to show you're human. Next, we have the chameleon effect. Ever find yourself talking to someone and you start to pick up their accent, or you start using the same hand gestures? That's not you being a copycat. That's your brain on autopilot, trying to build rapport. This subconscious mimicry is like a social glue. It creates a feeling of being in sync, making the whole interaction smoother and more positive. And that brings us to our fourth and final pillar. This one is simple, direct, and taps right into the core of our brain's wiring for who we are. It's the profound power of using someone's name. You've probably heard the classic Dale Carnegie line, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language." Well, it turns out modern neuroscience proves he was absolutely right. When you put someone in an fMRI scanner and say their name, parts of their brain light up in a way that just doesn't happen for any other name. It's a special, unique signal that basically says, "Hey, I'm talking to you." And this isn't just some vague, nice feeling. It's a specific neurological event. You can see here, hearing your name fires up regions like the middle frontal cortex, which is tied to our sense of self. It's a direct line to our identity, and it validates our existence in that specific moment. It's powerful stuff. So there you have it. We've walked through the entire architecture, from the power of just showing up, all the way to the neurology of our own names. How do we pull all of this together into a practical blueprint for building better, stronger connections? Well, it really boils down to these four things. Step 1, build familiarity. Just be around. Step 2, don't just give favors, ask for them. Let people invest in you. Step 3, once people know you're capable, embrace a little imperfection. It makes you real. And finally, step 4, offer that simple, powerful validation by remembering and using someone's name. Knowing all of this is, well, it's powerful. Understanding the levers that influence how people feel is a big responsibility. And it really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? Where's the line between using these principles to build a genuine, authentic connection and just psychological manipulation? Maybe the answer isn't in the tools themselves, but in our intention, why we choose to use them in the first place.